To get started on this exercise, you should have downloaded the progress bar folder, and inside of this folder there's an After Effects file. Once you open up this After Effects file, there is one thing I want you to notice that's part of this book, that's a mistake in the book that's also needs to be corrected on the file. If you go down to your layers, this topmost layer is where the text that we're going to be affecting in this particular exercise is set. It's underneath the cyclist layer. With it selected, I would go ahead and rename this the text layer. In the book it's called text, but in the project file it's not. So once you open this up, that would be the first thing that I would do. Now this is a fun exercise. We want to have a progression of the bicyclist moving across, as well as the bar, the arrow, and the little percentage all moving up. Now in order to do this, we're going to leverage some of After Effects' most powerful resources of parenting and customizing script. Let's start with the progress bar first. Choose the progress bar layer and press S to open up the scale options. Make sure your current time indicator is set to the very first frame at 00. We can turn on our scale stopwatch to add a keyframe. And let's unlink the scale because we only want to scale this first number down to 0%. Notice that the placement is already in the right position. Next, we can go all the way to the end of our animation to the 5th second, and then we can set our progress back up to 100%. With both of these keyframes selected, we can press F9 to throw on some easy ease. And now you can see the progress bar will go from 0 to 100% throughout the whole animation. Now that we've got this moving, let's do the same thing for the arrow. Choose your arrow layer, press the P key to open the position. Make sure your current time indicator is set to the very first keyframe at 00. We'll turn on a position keyframe to start. Move your current time indicator to the very end of this. And let's move this second option, the first option, the first number, 306, all the way up until it's at the very end of our line, which should be about 1067, right there at the end. Now as it progresses, the arrow will move as well. Do remember to add easy ease to both of your keyframes by pressing F9 so that they both move not only at the same time, but also at the same rate. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to have the cyclist and the text follow along the same position, the same movement that the arrow does. Since we've already animated the arrow, we're going to leverage parenting to be able to apply whatever movement that the arrow is doing to both of these layers as well. Here's how we're going to do it. First off, make sure you can see your parent and links column. If you can't see it, you can hold down the Control key or right-click on the layer's name, choose columns, and then make sure parent and link is checked on from here. Next, let's do this to the text layer. With the text layer selected, you'll notice you've got either a little swirl or you've got the ability to choose whichever layer you want. In our case, if we tell it to parent the text layer with the arrow layer, it's going to start to inherit whatever change in position that the arrow does. Now that they're both linked together, the text is like a child, and it's going to follow along with it as well. We can do the same thing for the cyclist. Another great way of doing it is clicking on the little swirl and drag out. Notice you got this little arrow or this line that follows it, and let's place it on top of the arrow layer. Again, it's going to inherit whatever position change is done for your text. Now notice that they both move in unison, and you didn't have to do any kind of keyframing because it's going to do exactly the same as it did with the first one. The final thing we want to do is to use a custom expression to be able to change this number as it progresses from 0 to 100%. In order to do this, in Photoshop, this is a basic text layer. We can't edit it now unless we convert it to editable text. So let's Control or right-click on the text layer, choose Create, and choose Convert to Editable Text. After a second, you'll notice this is now an editable text layer. Next, let's see if we can apply some automatic text to it. The first thing we want to do is apply an effect down to Expression Controls, and let's choose the Slider Control. Slider Control is an effect that basically allows you to assign a set numbers from 0 or any given range. Since we're going to be starting at 0% down here, make sure your current time indicator is set to the 0 frame. Let's turn on our slider's stopwatch. Then we can go all the way to the very end. And with the stopwatch already set, we can open it up and let's slide it all the way up to 100%. Now that still did not change the number that's assigned to it. Instead, it only assigned a value to wherever it is on our frame. Let's see if we can change this value and apply it to our text. To apply it to the text, let's open up our text layer. Then we can open up our text. Then you can hold down the Option or Alt key as you click on the little stopwatch. This is going to enable you to have your own custom expression and change the source text. Now, in order to do this, there's different ways you can program it. What we want to do is let's choose the little arrow off to the side, and let's make sure we're choosing JavaScript. There it is, JavaScript Math, and we want to be able to add a math rounding value. Now again, this goes into programming, so we're just going to follow along exactly as the book enables us to type it out. You can do a lot of things with this. What we want to do is to highlight this value. So this value is going to be whatever number that we want to change in here. With the word value highlighted, we can open up our effects panel and the slider controls. So there's the slider that we're working with. And again, may have to go back and let's highlight the word value. With value selected, we can click on the little swirl and drag it to the slider. Notice now, whatever number that the slider is on is going to become the new value. If we were to press play now, I know it's hard to see because it's highlighted, but you can see that it's actually showing whatever number now it's available inside of here. What we want to do is also add the little percentage sign to it. So in order to do this, let's click at the very end of this, press plus, and then open quote, percentage sign, close quote. This is going to add, oops, excuse me, I did a little equal sign. This is going to add the percentage to it. Now as it moves along, you can see it's whatever number all the way up to percentage, all the way up to the very end. With this done, you can press the U key twice and this will close out your layers. You can save your After Effects file, add it to the render queue, and upload both the After Effects and the rendered movie to the class page.